Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. Hi, Charles.
Hi, Deb. Hi, everybody.
I'm just trying to describe the topic. And the topic for today is offline and online marketing, or is it online and offline marketing? Something like that, where you're
Something like
doing
that.
both. Yeah. Which, in my personal opinion, I think you do kind of need both. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like when you walk out of the house, you don't mention your online business or vice versa. Charles, what do you think?
Yeah, I think these days things like everything things are coming full circle because there was a while when when everything was online, it was really cool, and you could do 100% online, and you could do work in your pajamas, and then all that stuff, and then um, but still, I mean, there were still always those people, and then even online business owners would just go to things, and I'm not just talking about conferences. They would just show up at meetups, and things like that. And I think it's always been there, but I think now people are sort of recognizing, okay, you know what? If I can do both, I can probably expand whatever it is I'm doing.
That makes a lot of sense as far as I think people are recognizing more so that online business is a business. I mean, people wearing the suits and saying, "Hey, I've got this website," and vice versa. The people that are saying, maybe I'm not working in the industry in the same way, but I have a website. I mean, you're getting both people. You're getting the people that were living the offline life to say, "Oh, I need to have a website," and you're getting the people that are kind of going the other way, almost this blend.
It is, and I think when you do most of everything online, it's almost hard to expand offline. Whereas if you're sort of offline, you've got a brick and mortar business. I wouldn't say it's easy, but you can envision sort of finding the energy to add on, an online piece or expand what you're doing online. Um, there's still the sense that what's offline is going to be more um, more work because it's tangible, because you have to talk to people, because you've got to go and make reservations, you've got to drive someplace, and that takes a lot of energy that I think sometimes, I mean, you don't really appreciate when you do a lot of your work online, because you sort of get up and you sit in your chair and you commute it for the day.
Yep, exactly. When you're saying that, I was thinking when kind of, well, maybe it's not when I started. There's different phases of life, but anyway, one of the phases in life. I think I mentioned I was Michael and I were supporting Excel,
Yep.
and which is basically it was an MLM, but it was telephone communication, so forth. But they had a lot. I mean, they were super networkers and have events and on and on. And we were always invited because we were like the service people. We handled their websites and so forth. So we always felt a part of that offline networking,
Yep.
and it was really fulfilling to be able to do that. But there was also the online because they were unfamiliar with the whole idea of websites and replication and all this stuff. So we were able to kind of have this marriage of the two. Now people are more educated as far as online activities, so it's a little bit different as far as you know the concept.
Yep. And I think even Amazon, right? If you look at Amazon, I'm seeing it from even eBay to some small degree, that 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 people are feeling the need. Okay, I've had this online presence generally, and I need to kind of bring this into some kind of brick and mortar. I need to bring it to people in a way that is tangible, right? And that's why Amazon is building stores, and not that they're the end all be all, but they seem like they're sort of a bellwether, right? That they felt, okay, well, even though we've got this monster online presence, we've got our fingers in everything, but if we can really get our fingers right in offline, we get our fingers into a store, then we can really, I guess basically own everything.
They own the world as far as I was ordering something. What was it? Just ordering like pantry items, their pantry thing on Amazon, and I'm getting like Windex, I'm getting all this stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I could be like a 92-year-old. No offense to 92-year-olds, by the way, but
Right.
I'm just sitting here. It's like I never have to leave the house. I mean, my groceries come, my my cleaning stuff comes,
Everything.
everything. I never have to leave the house.
And there's we've got I guess there's a service now called Instacart. I guess they're competing, and there are a bunch of little other little ones that are around that are kind of getting into the grocery stores and kind of bringing the online element to there, because and they did that, I guess, primarily because of Amazon. And I guess whatever somebody sells, that it's important, I think, like you said, to try to get it into some kind of tangible sense where people are uh seeing and touching something, right? Other than things that they get online.
That's a good point. So you think that's part of Amazon's success because they're able to, I mean, they've got the Kindle if you want to go virtual, but they also have that sense where you're connecting.
Yeah, and I think that is got that's all part of it, right? I mean, I see we've talked about Russell Brunson before. We talked about some of the other marketers who are doing more conferences, and now they're starting to do them more often. And I think that the reason is that people, okay, it's not as if they've had enough of membership sites. It's not as if those things don't make money. It's not as if those things are not effective in social media and all those things. But it appears as if people people want more connection in some way. And it's kind of interesting. The last time I was at, I think it was Funnel Hacker Live, and that was the Russell Brunson thing. He said an interesting thing. He said this uh, about the fact that there was a marketer that once someone bought something, he wanted to get something uh, physically into their hands, and if he could get them to eat something, he knew he'd have them forever, and that was just his thing. So the more that he could kind of physically um, get somebody to experience something from him, that he said, okay, this then is my customer forever. And so that's why one of the things he'd do, he'd send, I don't know if it was a fruitcake, but it was something corny. But if he could get him to eat it, that he felt like, okay, you know what, I've got this person forever.
You know what? That actually makes a lot of psychological sense. And that's something we've talked about. My friend Madeline, and
Mm-hmm.
when she was doing the Go Girls, and well, she's doing actually the same thing now with Twitter Smarter. But the idea of being able to like she'd have sponsors that would make up shirts, and usually it was a cause. So there's like several things going on. And I think I mentioned that I had a shirt that was like against human slavery, but
Mm-hmm.
yet somebody else sponsored it, and she was, so we would go away from, we'd go do our music, we'd walk away with kind of this little goodie bag. And yeah, it really kind of builds that aspect of getting involved and having something tangible when you walk away and really feeling like you're a part of something.
Yeah, and it now the thing is that, again, I mean, I guess if you've done most of your stuff online, and Laurel and I are finding this now, that we're trying to do some things offline. It takes a lot of energy just to get a ball sort of up on the hill, right? So even before you start pushing it up the hill, just to get the ball up to the base of the hill, it takes a lot of energy before you can have something to say, okay, I'm going to start this thing. And even then, not really fully knowing if it's going to work. So I guess, again, it's that whole idea that you sort of get used to I wouldn't call it the ease of being able to work online, but you get used to I guess I call it the cadence, like the speed of things,
Mhm.
the speed at which you can do something and see something happen. Um, it takes more, though. It takes more energy. It takes more work. It takes more concentration. However, though, I think you and I have talked about this. The margins are so small online because everybody wants to make a buck online. Everybody wants to do
Mhm.
something. And so as soon as you find something that works, somebody's watching and you're going to say, hey, you know what? I can do that. I'm going to see if I can do it too. Whereas I think there are always barriers to entry to doing anything offline. There are always, because you got to spend money to get a room or a venue. That's something that some people are not going to want to do, because the benefit of being online is, well, I can get started. I don't have to have any money. But you know, even if all you did was get a room, right, at $50, right, a week, that takes money, and that's some money that some people are not going to spend that $50. That's one barrier to entry. Another barrier to entry is obviously going to be that, let's say you put something in the room, right? That costs money, right? Before you sell anything. That's another barrier to entry. So everything offline is takes more energy, takes more work, But the margins are higher because you don't have as many players rushing in to do it because of the energy and money it takes.
That makes a lot of sense. That's what I'm remembering CopyMaster days where, we'd have to, as instructors, we'd have to actually set up. So the stuff CopyMaster would ship everything, there'd be computers. Well, I shouldn't say they'd ship the computers. They would rent the computers from someone locally, and then they would bring in the computers. So you never quite knew if those computers were going to be kind of up to speed or not, because some of them are pretty, what was this, 1970? Well, I'm sorry to pick on you, CopyMaster, but
Punch cards, yeah.
exactly. But I'm setting up, thinking about all the costs that they had as far as, because they would usually set up in I would say at least medium to high level places, because they wanted to have classy places as far as the instruction. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of barriers to setting that up, and now they're mostly online, but there was a lot of value in the offline. I think the students got more out of it. They were able to network and go to lunch together. I was able to walk around the room and actually answer the questions, whereas now everything is back to being the whole online.
Mm-hmm. But it's work. It's work. Offline, it's work. I mean, trying to get. I mean, even something as small as you said, you know, having sound equipment in place. Somebody's got to put that sound equipment in place, and even if you don't put it in place, you got to watch somebody put it in place. Or getting something like an urn of coffee. Well, somebody's got to carry the urn of coffee. Somebody got to see to it the other person take the current urn of coffee. I mean, it's all like at a different level, and so like I said, I think the margins are always bigger offline, right? You certainly can't give anything away because of all the cost and time it takes to do something. So I think that you led off by talking about should we do both? I think you have to, um, um, and the challenge is always going to be finding the balance and finding a way to expand one way or the other.
So maybe what about kind of testing it as far as, make sure that you've kind of, I'm going to call it empire, built your online empire enough that you're supporting yourself, you're paying your utilities, whatever. You're almost kind of creating this the safety net and saying, okay, now we're going to take that, we're going to invest it in ourselves and try this offline and see if we can actually increase the return on investment.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's the only way. That's the only way to do it. And if now, I mean, obviously you can do it the other way around, right? You could kind of have your offline thing, your brick and mortar thing, and then you can say, okay, I'm going to expand, do something like offline. You can do it the other way, but I guess your point is that you sort of got to have something that's working and something that's cash flowing and something that's reliable, and then trying to find a way to build on that so that you still get to sleep at night and that you still yeah, you don't burn up everything trying to build a new thing.
Don't go for a doctorate. That's advice, because that one kills you time. Good advice. So how do we leave that for people? What's a way that go out and build your empire? They're not.
Yeah, no, I think you said it right. I mean, get something that's working the way you want, and get it reliable, so it's cash flowing, and then I think really planning out the next stage and really taking a good look at um, sort of what the new system is going to require in terms of time, so that it doesn't take away from the thing that's already working.
Exactly. And watch for those opportunities where sometimes can't remember the site. It'll come to me as soon as we're done, but where you can make maybe little merchandise things that you can, use WooCommerce on your website and offer something tangible to get into people's hands. Maybe try on a smaller scale before you try an event or whatever, because that's great advice as far as having something tangible.
Yep.
So great. Well, thank you, Charles. Thank you for all the great tips. And I'm still thinking about last week and this whole thing with the conference and what you learned. And you've inspired me. And of course, you always inspire me. So
Oh, thanks, Deb.
So thank you all for tuning in to Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. And we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye, Deb.